In our package this morning, May Day, Organized Labour renews call for upward review of minimum wage as Akwa Ibom State Government promises affordable accommodation for workers. Speaker, Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly promises legislation that will enhance welfare of workers. The Minister of Niger Delta directs Niger Delta Development Commission officials to submit comprehensive list of ongoing projects to his office. Details of these and other stories. So good morning and thanks for joining us on the news. I am Samuel Udofia. Governor Udom Emmanuel has promised to provide affordable accommodation for civil servants in the state as part of his administration's commitment to the welfare of civil servants. The governor made the promise at the Labour Day celebration in Akwa Ibom at the Uyo Township Stadium. Our Government House Bureau Chief, Colonel Edemefreti, is there.
Governor Udom Emmanuel, who stressed that his administration was in partnership with the labor force for the progress of the state, said government has already acquired land for the civil servants estate, which he noted is to be executed under public-private partnership. The governor reminded the state's workforce that their service is vital for the growth of the state, adding that they should complement government's gesture by being passionate about service delivery while government strives to meet their needs. Mr. Udom Emmanuel, who acknowledged Labour's contribution towards attaining a stable polity, said he has been brainstorming with Labour leaders in the state to ensure that workers' welfare needs are met and problems addressed. Confessing that he owes civil servants in the state gratitude for cooperation enjoyed rather than salaries and gratuities as insinuated in some quarters, the governor said he would perfect his appreciation by creating jobs to ensure Akwa Ibom children are positively engaged.
You have proven that you are indeed our partners in progress as we work together to bring democratic beacon to our people. For the nearly 2 years we've worked together, I've been privileged to steer the ship of the state. I'm glad and proud to say that we have covered many miles with glittering milestones. Our achievements would not have been possible without the cooperation of the great workers of this state. Labour has contributed immensely in making state a better place to live and work. You are all great patrons.
Responding to Labour leaders' catalogue of demands, Governor Udom Emmanuel told them of the electricity substation erected in Uyo, which will afford him the right to negotiate the high electricity billings with Port Harcourt Electricity Distribution Company. Assured them of no favoritism in the planned employment of 3,000 teachers in the state, continues repayment of 7.5% pension funds, and remarkable improvement in payments of interest as well as payment of all outstanding salaries. The governor, who commended Labour for the encomiums poured on him, assured that next year's May Day will have workers from the state's syringe factory, metering factory, and the 6,000 capacity flour mill in attendance. He also assured that the renovated 18 General Hospital with modern equipment will be commissioned on this year's Democracy Day holding 29th of May.
My dear fellow workers, let this event also serve as a constant reminder to you that your role is a very vital one. Granted that you must be remunerated for your service, but it should also not be about the pay you receive. There should also be the passion for service and helping others to meet their needs. Work with high sense of responsibility as government continues to do its part, that we are all involved.
The head of civil service, Mrs. Ekerebong Afia, who also addressed workers at the event, listed the state government's achievements to include prompt payments of salaries, clearance of backlogs of salaries and pensions. She urged workers in the state to reciprocate government's gesture by being selflessly committed to their services to the state. Mrs. Agban prayed God to bless the governor and grant the workers the grace to sustain their spirit of service.
As we celebrate this year's Workers' Day with the theme Labor Relations in Economic Recession and Appraisal, I wish to, on behalf of all the workers, thank our labor-friendly governor, His Excellency, Mr. Udom Gabriel Emmanuel, for his cordial labor relations, even in this economic recession.
Colonel Adam Efreti reporting.
As workers and their welfare are celebrated globally, the Speaker of the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly, Barrister Onofio Obiuk, says the legislature will partner other arms of government to package legislation that will enhance the continuous welfare of Akwa Ibom workers. Presenting a solidarity message to workers during the 2017 May Day rally, Barrister Luke said the House of Assembly will serve as a bridge between government and the people. Acknowledging the supportive role of Akwa Ibom workers in the development of the state, the Speaker urged them to continue to support government while assuring that the House will provide open legislation that revolves around the people.
On behalf of the legislature, we came here to make two commitments. The first commitment being that we recognize the fact that without your commitment, without your support, there will not have been any development in the state. We promise an open legislature where workers can bring their issues to be articulated. Because the legislature, being the representative of the people, is a bridge between government and the people. Workers' welfare is always paramount in every legislation, in every motion that we pass in the House of Assembly.
The May Day celebration in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital, was a sea of colors, with workers from the different trade unions turning up in their different uniforms. Variegated attires and other events spiced up the celebration at the Uyo Township Stadium. While many businesses consider it important to ask their employees to wear uniforms, some employees find the requirement annoying, yet others welcome not having to choose an outfit for work every day. However, all these classes of workers did not mind displaying their uniforms crested with different logos and insignia on their unions. The governor and members of the State Executive Council were not left out of the colors display as they turned up as comrades clad in NLC outfit and colors. Besides the public sector workers, many from the organized private sector and the informal sector, such as tricycle operators and cultural troops, were not left out. While the colors of some uniforms were nicely combined and coordinated among the groups, others did not mind mixing various hues and shades of colors together, as long as they made the 2017 May Day appearance, a situation which resulted in some groups having many shades of the same colors. Some workers who bared their mind on the day's events expressed joy at the opportunity to break away from the monotony of their duties.
We're talking about workers' freedom.
workers' emancipation, workers' liberation. And when you look at these adjectives that are used to describe this, you discover that there is need for this to be achieved. That is why we have to observe this every year in order to pick a bit of it and add to what has been.
For you to be alive and up to that day, first day of the month of May, in every year, you have to give praises to God and come out and celebrate the day that you have been suffering, and God is still keeping us. The best thing that will come with man is joy, the appreciation of today's occasion.
You're watching AM News. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back. Stay with us. The Minister of the Niger Delta Affairs has advised contractors handling NDDC jobs in the state to ensure that the quality and level of work at their sites are commensurate with the amount of money collected for such projects. The Minister gave the advice while inspecting NDDC projects in the state.
Pastor Osani, who was accompanied by the Commissioner for Works, Mr. Ephraim Inyang, and some NDDC engineers, first visited the female hostel at the University of Uyo main campus, where he frowned at the unprofessional way the contractor has handled the project. The minister and his team later moved to Ikoropate in Ona local government area, where he inspected a bridge project awarded by the NDDC in 2005. There, the minister said it was worrisome that despite the huge amount sunk in by government, oil companies and other intervention programs, the Niger Delta was still backward in terms of development, as the people were not seeing the results of government investments. Pastor Sani said his visit to the state was not to witch hunt anybody, but to have an on-the-spot assessment of NDDC projects and to ensure that things are done properly for the overall benefit of the people of the Niger Delta. The minister directed officials of the NDDC supervising the projects to forward comprehensive and up-to-date reports on the projects to his office. He also urged the NDDC officials in the state to ensure that parties involved in the execution of projects work closely with state governments to promote development.
We want to have on-the-spot assessment and objective view and conceptions of whatever we claim to be doing. We don't just want to rely on file reports. So we came to see that we would have our own independent assessment of the situation.
On his part, the Commissioner for Works, Mr. Ephraim Inyang, expressed appreciation to the Minister for the visit, saying his office will welcome NDDC officials when it has to do with development of the state.
If you reach out to me, even in the night, I'll be available because it's about the development of our community. So we'll be excited to work with you. So reach out to us and we will do everything possible to support you. We want results so that our communities can get better.
The Ministry of Transport and Petroleum Resources has organized one-day training for members of the newly constituted compliance and monitoring units of the ministry. The training took place in Uyo at the ministry's annex, former terminus of the Akwa Ibom Transport Company.
Declaring the training open, the Commissioner for Transport and Petroleum Resources, Mr. Omanesen, said the need to equip members of the new task force with the knowledge to carry out their responsibilities informed the training. Mr. Sen said modalities have been worked out to ensure that the new task force will not harass commuters, but to work within the compliance of the law and generate revenue for government. The Commissioner sued for unity and teamwork while imploring the team not to jeopardize the purpose for which it was constituted.
I want people to know that whatever you see or do in this ministry is directly from the governor of Akwa State. I want men that will deliver on this mandate. One very key attribute of the compliance officer is humility. You don't have any reason to be here. Please, you don't have any reason to be here. This arrangement is for very humble people.
In a lecture on the compliance officer, his duty, and the public, Mr. Patrick Akpan said compliance officers are people carefully selected and well scrutinized by authorities to ensure that government policies and aspirations are interpreted and given direction. To achieve this vision of government, Mr. Akpan said officers must be honest, dedicated, self-reliant, focused, and most importantly, know how to relate well with the public. In another lecture on rule and conduct of compliance officers, Mr. Godgift Owen of the State Command of the Federal Receptive Corps said officers must abstain from alcohol, noting that alcohol destabilizes the mental balance of a person. He harped on the need for them to know the road signs, obey the rules governing the roads, such as traffic rules, obey constituted authority, and to work in tandem with security agencies. Mr. Owen also advised road users to stay clear of marijuana and other hard drugs and consider other road users.
The compliance officer, as you are going to carry out your duty and the way you discharge your duty, is feeling on a proof that anybody that's going to carry out your duty must be mentally and physically that is willing to be dedicated to his duty. The basic problem we have among road users is the issue of alcohol. Now, the research we conducted shows that irrespective of all the enforcement measures, there is still the sense of alcohol in virtually every motor park operating within Akwa Ibom.
The chairman, Akwa Ibom State Branch of the Nigerian Medical Association, Dr. Anyekeme Uwa, has been conferred with the Outstanding State Chairman Award by the national body of the association. The award was conferred on him at the 57th Annual National General Conference and Delegates Meeting of the association in Calabar, Cross River State. The reports.
At the event attended by members of the Nigerian Medical Association nationwide, the national president, Professor Mike Ugirimma, said Dr. Anyekeme Uwa was conferred with the Distinguished Service Award as the most outstanding chairman in recognition of his distinctive and selfless service both at the state and national levels.
The Distinguished Service Award presented to Dr. Anyekeme Uwa in recognition of your service to the Akwa Ibom State and National NMA, this day 29 April 2017. Congratulations.
Accepting the award, Dr. Uwa thanked the association for finding him worthy of the honor. He dedicated the award to members of the NMA in the state for the confidence they had in electing him as the chairman. He pledged to do more to enhance qualitative healthcare delivery in Akwa Ibom State and Nigeria.
I remain eternally grateful to this association. I remain eternally grateful for all our members in Akwa Ibom for giving me the chance to serve them as their 13th chairman. Without them, I wouldn't have been here today. I'm very grateful and I dedicate this award to all the doctors in Nigeria. God bless them all.
Labour organizations in Nigeria have renewed calls for an upward review of the national minimum wage for workers. At the national capital, Abuja, where workers gathered at the Eagle Square to commemorate the day, there was an uproar as workers disallowed the acting permanent secretary in the Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment to speak on behalf of the minister, Dr. Chris Ngige. Dr. Ngige had declined to address the workers in his capacity as he was to represent President Muhammadu Buhari at the occasion. Following the incident, some groups of workers staged a walkout from the square without taking part in the march. Dr. Ngige thanked Nigerian workers for their resilience despite economic challenges and said government is determined to enhance their welfare. The head of service of the Federation, Mrs. Winifred Oyoita, commended the contributions, sacrifices and resilience of workers in the country. Senate President Bukola Saraki, on his part, pledged enactment of laws that will guarantee safety and well-being of Nigerian workers, while the Deputy Senate President, Ike Ekweremadu, in his goodwill message, reiterated his call for the review of the national minimum wage for Nigerian workers. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, promised that the House would enact a new wage bill for Nigerian workers. Many countries commemorate Workers' Day on May 1. However, the United States and some countries celebrate it on a different date, which is significant to them. That's our packet this morning, and now a quick reminder of what our top stories are saying. Governor Udom Emmanuel has promised to provide affordable accommodation for civil servants in the state as part of his administration's commitment to the welfare of civil servants. The governor made the promise at the Labor Day celebration in Akwa Ibom at the Iyo Township Stadium. We also brought you a report that trade unions in the public sector have renewed calls for an upward review of the national minimum wage. The Nigerian Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress made the call yesterday at the May Day rally at Eagle Square, Abuja. That's our package. Remember, you can also watch AKBC TV News online by logging on to akbconline.org or follow us on Twitter at AKBC450 or on Facebook at AKBC Channel 45. Thanks for watching. Have a great Tuesday.